Yeah, we
What is
lost.
that? What is it? I'm trying to guess that song.
I don't know if you know that. It is from Germany. It's called Brother Louis. It was
No,
popular in
no.
Europe.
I know zero. Oh, I do know some German hip hop. We've talked about that before, man.
Oh, we did.
Advanced chemistry.
Yeah, yeah.
Ich habe einen grünen Pass mit einem goldenen Adler drauf. Dies bedingt, dass er mir oft die Haare auf. Jetzt mal ohne Spaß. Ege habe ich zuhauf, obwohl ich langsam Motto fahre und niemals sauf. Yeah, you didn't know I could spit those German lyrics like that.
I bet you can do the whole Amadeus thing as well. Do you know
that? No, not for a while. What is that? What's that? Falco?
yeah. I don't even know. Yeah.
Yo, there's this, because you were humming, and I was trying to figure out what you were humming. Now, it was impossible because I didn't know the song, but there's this tapping experiment. You study psychology. There's this tapping experiment where one person is given a song by the experimenter. The experimenter gives one person a song. He says, here's the song. So tap out, tap out the beat for When the Saints Go Marching In. And the person starts trying to tap it. And then the other person is supposed to interpret and figure out what the song is.
Uh-huh.
And the person who's doing the tapping is asked, hey, will the other person know what song you're tapping out? And it's some crazy percentage, like 80, 90% of people. Of course, this person's going to know this song. But then the actual experiment will show that like 10% or 5% of people actually figure that out. And so the experiment, now the reason for that is when you're tapping out When the Saints Go Marching In, you're actually sort of not quite humming it, but you're playing the song mentally in your head. And so you actually hear the song, whereas the other person doesn't hear the song. They just hear some taps. And so it's meant to show that when people are trying to communicate ideas to other people, they've got the ideas in their head already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas the other person doesn't have that framework, and so they're not understanding, and so on. So
yeah.
Oh, anyway, so yeah, we're live. Hey, what's going on, man?
I don't know. You just started talking about music, and we just completely missed
spit that knowledge, man. I've already dropped knowledge of German hip hop on the people, and then psychology, and we just started like 30 seconds ago.
Yeah. Let's just stop with the whole Quran, Arabic, Islam thing. Let's
heck with that stuff.
Yeah, let's talk about 80s music.
Freestyle. Yeah. Let's talk about 80s German, man.
Yeah. No, let's talk about girls just want to have fun.
Now you're talking my language, man. Cindy Lauper.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. How are you doing? This is Apostate Prophet with David Wood. How is everybody doing? Hope everything sounds okay and looks okay. This time I announced it before. We want to keep this at 1 hour. I know. I said that the last.
It's like a joke by now, yeah.
But this time we will really do it. We will really keep it at 1 hour or under an hour. I don't know. So we will start with that stuff right ahead. People are saying hello, AP and Dizzle. Hello, David Wood. Someone said hello, Dawood. That got stuck nicely. Very, very nice. Okay. So today we want to talk about something very interesting, which is the fact that the Quran is in Arabic, of course, and that it was supposedly revealed in Arabic. Do you do this in America or in England?
Yep. We do that. Okay, yeah, revealed. Yeah.
I thought it's a very German thing, but I don't know. So that the Quran was revealed, so to say, in Arabic, and there are different explanations about why the Quran was revealed in Arabic, and we want to look at those explanations because some of them seem to make sense while others don't really make sense. And this is a question that people often ask: why is this a universal book that we are supposed to read in its own language, understand in its own language? Why is it in Arabic? Why is that so significant, so important? So
I actually think this is one of the biggest problems for taking the Quran seriously, for taking Islam seriously. I think it's one of the biggest problems and one of the most underrated because, you have moral problems with Muhammad and things like that. And those are pretty popular. I don't think this particular issue has received anywhere near the emphasis it should. I mean, as far as like problems with the overall case that Islam is presenting to the world, I think this would be like my top. This would be in the top 5 for me, because this is huge. Once you understand, and just in case people were watching last week, we touched on this a little bit. We talked about some of the issues, but we thought it was important enough to actually go through some verses and really lay out the problem here, because once you lay this out, Islam is just incoherent. The Quran is incoherent. The entire picture that Muslims are presenting about Islam is completely incoherent. You cannot make sense of it. It all falls apart. And so we're going to talk a bit about this.
Yeah. Where do you want to start? I believe you have prepared a few thoughts about this. What I have done actually on my part, when we decided to talk about this topic, I decided to sit down and look at all the Quran verses which mention that the Quran was revealed in Arabic, and which mention language to be specific, or which mention your people or who Muhammad was sent to. And I kind of made a list of nearly all the verses that mention Arabic or language, and I can always lovingly bring them up. But where do you want to?
Yeah, we can base. We should probably briefly talk about what Muslims say about other scriptures and other prophets, and why Muhammad was sent and things like that, and then we can show, once we show what Muslims are saying, then we can show how the Quran completely contradicts and destroys everything they're saying. This is why Islam is so amazing. You have all these things that are said by Allah and Muhammad, and then Muslims come in and completely wreak havoc on that. But no one knows. No one knows when a Muslim is telling you something about Islam and he's completely contradicting Allah and Muhammad. People just don't realize that, right? It's like when a Muslim tells you, Allah sent the previous scriptures, but they were corrupted. You cannot trust the Bible. You cannot trust the Torah. You cannot trust the gospel. They've all been corrupted. And people don't realize that Muslim apologist is saying the exact opposite of what the Quran says and of what Muhammad said, right? People just don't know that. And so they think this is what Islam teaches, not realizing, no, that's not what Islam teaches at all. And so on this particular issue, matter of fact, you got can you pull up a Quran?
Can I pull up a Quran? Yes, I can.
Do you have the technology to pull up a Quran?
I don't know how to use a computer. That's my problem.
While you're pulling that up, and once you've got a Quran, go to Surah, I believe 14, and just go to the first few verses, like verses 1 through 5 or something like that. But I'll go ahead and give.
What did you say? Which part? Which surah?
Surah 14. I'll have to, unless this isn't what I'm talking about at all.
And you said what verse?
Is that 14?
This is Surah 14, yeah.
Go down to 4 and let me just make sure that this is what I'm talking about.
I believe it is. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So let's just get the context. So pick out any translation. We'll go Sahih International. So go back a few verses just so we can read the introduction here. So I'll go ahead and read it off the screen here. So this is a book. So verse 1, starting at verse 1, so people know the context. This is a book which we have revealed to you, O Muhammad, that you might bring mankind out of darkness into the light by permission of their Lord, to the path of the exalted in might, the praiseworthy. Go ahead. Verse 2. Allah, to whom belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth. And woe, i.e. destruction, to the disbelievers from a severe punishment. The ones who prefer the worldly life over the hereafter and avert people from the way of Allah, seeking to make it seem deviant, those are in extreme error. And we did not, this is verse 4, this is one we want to ponder here, and we did not send any messenger except speaking in the language of his people to state clearly for them. And Allah sends astray thereby whom he wills and guides whom he wills, and he is the exalted in might, the wise. So the part we want to focus on here. Allah says, and we did not send any messenger except speaking in the language of his people to state clearly for them. Why does he send a messenger with the language of that person's people? So Jesus would have been sent with that language, with the language he spoke, and Muhammad is sent with the language of his people and so on. Why does he send them in the language of their people? To state it clearly for them. Right. So anyway, keep that in mind, everyone, because when you think about what Muslim apologists tell us about why the Quran was sent and so on, and you can look at what apologists say. It's basically, other prophets came, but their messages were all corrupted and their scriptures were all corrupted. And you can watch like clips by Jamal Badawi, and they'll say, finally, Allah said, no more. No more. I will send Muhammad and protect his scriptures myself. And then so all these other prophets, they deliver revelations, and some of them bring books. And then human beings corrupted them all. And then Muhammad, and then finally God said, no more, no more. He sends Muhammad with the Quran in Arabic. Now, you guys should already be able to see a problem here. We did not send any messenger except speaking the language of his people to state it clearly for them. AP, is Arabic the language of our people?
It definitely is not. In fact, most people have no clue what the Quran says because they don't speak Arabic. In fact, most Muslims don't speak Arabic.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they most certainly do not speak Arabic. And yet, the reason for Allah sending different prophets into different parts of the world with their language is so that people can understand it in their language. There is no, who's the English-speaking prophet or the German-speaking prophet?
I'm sure he came, but they just rejected him and they killed him. And all the people around the world, they all did the same thing. They all rejected their prophets and killed them and stuff like that.
Well, here's the problem. Muhammad's finally for the final prophet, but English came after that, right? So what's the problem here? It's almost like the author of the Quran has no idea that there are other languages constantly forming, and therefore, to understand the message clearly, people would need a revelation in their own language, right? Is everyone seeing this? Because we haven't even really, we've only looked right here at this, but we can actually go through a number of other important verses.
Yeah,
and AP's got some stuff ready as well.
This is nothing. This is just the beginning. This is just a little taste of it.
This is wild stuff. This is actually wild stuff. And so, guys, if you want to learn a couple of arguments, a couple of problems, don't think that you have to learn everything all at once. You don't have to learn all of Islam. Learn a couple of arguments and learn them well. But should I go through some verses here?
We can. Yeah, I said I have a list ready of verses that we can bring up.
Okay.
I especially like the one that is about Mecca, but go ahead.
Yeah, let me because I have some passages I want to read, and once we get to the stuff, once we get to the passage on Mecca, then you can bring up any, you can show your little list there. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so point number one here. According to the Quran, Allah sent prophets to every nation. Do you want to pull these up, or do you want me to just read them here? I have them listed out.
I can pull them up. You can also
okay. So I'm going to read Surah 16, verse 36 of the Quran. So Surah 16, verse 36 of the Quran.
16:36.
Yeah. 16, verse 36. Allah says, "And certainly we have raised in every nation an apostle saying, serve Allah and shun false gods. We have sent to every nation a messenger saying, worship Allah and avoid taghut." So,
yeah, falsehood.
Yeah, we all agree, right, ladies and gentlemen, that according to the Quran, Allah sent to every nation an apostle. Every nation has had its messenger. So we're good there, right? We're good there. And we saw from Surah 14, verse 4, that he sends them in the language of their own people, right? So if Allah is sending a prophet to Chinese people, he sends him with, a message in Chinese so that they can understand it. And think about why that would be. There is actually an important reason, which we're going to see in Islam from the Quran itself. Allah is going to state this. There's a reason that Allah sends prophets to people in the language that they speak. If they didn't have a revelation that they could understand clearly, remember Surah 14, verse 4, where Allah says that the messenger speaks the language to make it clear to those people. If they didn't have a revelation that they can understand, then on Judgment Day, they'd be able to say, wait a minute, we didn't have anything in our language. So how are you holding us responsible, Allah? How are you holding us responsible for following this revelation we couldn't even understand because it wasn't in our language? So in other words, think about this. There were Jews and Christians in Arabia. Why do the Arabs need a revelation? Why did the Arabs need a revelation when there were already Jews and Christians there? Well, just imagine, if you've got Jews and Christians living in your area, you can't read their books in your language. Therefore, how would you know? How would you know if they're accurately representing what's in those books? Would you just have to take their word for it? Would you just have to take their word for it? So you notice in that situation, you would have two options. So suppose you're a 7th century Arab and there are Jews who know the Torah in that language, in their language. And they have reliable scripture from Allah in their language. You want to know what the revelation from Allah is. So you ask the Jews. You basically would have two options. You can either say, hey, I'm going to ask the Jews to tell me what the revelation from Allah says, or I could spend the next 10 years of my life trying to understand Hebrew. Put a lot of emphasis into learning Hebrew. Those would be your two options. And part of the message of the Quran is, in order to avoid people being in that situation, having to say, well, I'll just blindly accept what these people are saying, or I can, spend years of my life trying to figure out this language. In order to avoid those things, Allah gives people a revelation in their language so that they can understand it. Now, why is that? Why am I already laughing here? I'm laughing because the thing that the Quran says it's here to avoid, namely avoiding, the Quran says, and we're going to go through the verses, the Quran, and this would be the gist of everything we're about to go through. The Quran declares that the reason Allah sends the Quran in Arabic is so that Arabs have a revelation in their language that they can understand, and they don't have to learn another language, and they don't have to blindly follow other people who speak another language. They have something clear in their own language that they can understand. That, according to the Quran, is why Allah revealed the Quran. Why is that hilarious? It's because Muslims today tell us we either have to mindlessly accept what their leaders and apologists say about the Arabic of the Quran, or we can all spend years of our lives studying Arabic and learn the Arabic. Those are the options we have because the Quran was not revealed in our language. You see the problem here? In other words, all of Islamic apologetics, all of dawah is a joke. Not according to me, not according to the apostate prophet, according to the Quran. The Quran says the situation Allah does not want you to be in, the situation that Allah never wants people to be in, is not having a revelation in their language. That's what Allah wants to avoid at any cost. He does not want you to ever be in a situation where you do not have a revelation from Allah in your language. In order to avoid that, he sends a prophet to every nation. He's got scriptures that are revealed in all these different languages. That's what Allah, he doesn't want people to have an excuse on Judgment Day saying, I didn't have a revelation. And what did you want me to do? Did you want me to just mindlessly trust these other people in this other language? Or did you want me to spend years of my life, as if all of us have all this time, to go study other languages? Do you seriously want us to do that? He doesn't want people to have that excuse. And so what he says is, I'm going to send a prophet to every language, in every language, of the language of their people. That's the message of the Quran. Why is this hilarious? Because every Muslim apologist tells us the Quran is this miraculous book in this other language that you don't understand. Take our word for it, or spend years of your life learning Arabic. That's exactly what the Quran's trying to avoid. And that's what Muslims. So here's a situation where Muslims are telling us the exact opposite of what their book says about itself. All of dawah collapses with this stuff. Now, we've got plenty of verses to go through, but did you want to? What are your thoughts on all of this?
Yeah, I just want to quickly kind of summarize the thought here, and and mention a few things. So we touched upon this before in the previous live chat last week, but as David explained very much in detail, Muslims do believe, because this is what the Quran says, Muslims do believe that prophets were sent to all nations around the world. And the funny thing is that Muslims mostly do not know that this is something that only they believe. Muslims are not aware of that. The average Muslim thinks that Jews and Christians think that too. They believe that Jews and Christians believe that too. They are not aware that this is only an Islamic belief, because it is an Islamic belief, because it is an ignorant, stupid belief that is kind of out of touch with Abrahamic biblical religion. But Islam makes this mistake. Islam separates them from biblical tradition and from Abrahamic tradition, and it teaches them these very strange things, which is why Muslims think that this is what Jews and Christians believe too. They therefore do not really see the problem with this unless we come here and bring it up, and we explain it to them that this is an illogical belief, a belief that is not compatible with biblical Abrahamic tradition, a belief that is simply a Muslim belief, an Islamic belief that comes out of ignorance. Now, the issue is, as David mentioned, that the idea that prophets were sent to all nations, the idea behind that is that people will not, prophets were sent to all nations to warn them about Allah and to call them to the right faith, to the right religion, so that people, when they die, cannot complain and cannot say, well, we didn't receive a messenger. So everyone must receive a messenger so that they can thereby not complain when they die and when they are asked about why they did not believe. Mm-hmm. And but then it does not make sense that Muhammad was the final messenger to the Arabs, but 1,400 years have passed, and we have the whole humanity, billions of people who have not received a messenger, who have not received a revelation in their own language, who are all supposed to trust Muhammad and his Arabic revelation, which, according to the Quran, was sent to the Arabs because they didn't have a messenger before. Now, Muslims can say, well, we don't need messengers now for all the other people. We have Muhammad, and his message is global. We should all just listen to Islam, to Muhammad. But then why did Allah do it like this before Muhammad to begin with? Why did Allah send messengers to all prophets to begin with, if he wanted to just make a global message in the end anyway? What is really the point of that, and why does the Quran keep mentioning this? And this is only the beginning. We will proceed to more verses which make all of this much more difficult for the Quran. I promise.
Let me go ahead and reread this verse here, because you also have the clear Quran there, translation. Yeah. But after this, we're going to go to Surah 36. But notice, we surely sent a messenger to every community saying, worship Allah and shun false gods. So, and then the Sahih International, we certainly sent to every nation a messenger. So very clear. Every nation, every community, every people have received the message. Go ahead and go to Surah 36. So the question then,
Surah 36, you said?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we'll read 2 through 6. This is these are all short little verses. Uh-huh. The question then is, why is Muhammad the final prophet? And the answer, according to the Quran, Muhammad is the final prophet because everyone else already had their prophet and Muhammad was last in line. The Arabs hadn't received their prophet. And so in other words, Allah is sending, let me send the message to the people in China. Let me send a message to the people in India. Let me send the messenger to all these different people. And the last people in line were the Arabs. So once the Arabs had their prophet, then then everyone's got their prophet, right? So let's go ahead and go through this. I'll just read the clear Quran here. By the Quran, rich in wisdom, you, O prophet, are truly one of the messengers upon the straight path. This is a revelation from the Almighty, most merciful, so that you may warn a people whose forefathers were not warned and so are heedless, or the Sahih International, that you may warn a people whose forefathers were not warned, so they are unaware. Now think about this, ladies and gentlemen. We just read a passage of the Quran declaring that every group had received their prophet. So if everyone else already has their prophet, and Muhammad comes to the people, and he's the prophet for this people, and they hadn't been warned, that means the Arabs were last, right? That means the Arabs were the last people to receive their prophet. By the way, AP, we haven't discussed this. Do you see a problem here already with saying that their forefathers were not warned?
Yeah.
I don't even know if we're thinking about the same thing here, but when I read that, it's actually hilarious. But go ahead.
I am thinking about how they were supposed to be, believers in the past, but were corrupted through disbelief. Do you mean that?
Yeah, I'm thinking of. Wait a minute. Didn't Abraham and Ishmael come there and build the Kaaba and so on?
Yeah.
And the only thing I can think here is they could say, but Abraham and Ishmael weren't native Arabic speakers or something like that, and therefore they didn't count. They didn't count as the clear messenger who would speak in the language of his own people. That's the only way I see around this, because it's clear. I mean, you could say, well, they just came down, they built the Kaaba, and then they left. It's like, wait a minute, what? No, you believe they were communicating with the people. I mean, they established all these practices that Muslims supposedly kept faithfully for thousands of years, so that even when they were complete pagans, they still performed the rites of the Hajj faithfully and so on. So you'd have to say that Abraham and Ishmael did a pretty bang-up job of communicating the basic religious practices to the people of Arabia, but somehow their forefathers were not warned.
Yeah. So the Quran says two things, as far as I remember, in two different parts. It says in one part that Abraham and his offspring, his sons, were instructed to tell the people to tell people all around the world to come to the Kaaba annually and to circle it after they built it. In another part, it also says, if I'm not wrong, that after building the Kaaba, Abraham said, prayed to Allah and asked Allah to send a prophet to this nation which is here, who will speak their language and who will preach to them. Now, you have these two kind of conflicting things, but we will get to that. Yeah.
All right, let's go to Surah 34. But so the Arabs somehow hadn't been warned, even though they'd had Abraham and Ishmael there, building them a place of worship and setting up all of the basic fundamental religious practices that they're supposed to perform. They did such a bang-up job that even the pagans kept up these practices faithfully for thousands of years, but somehow they didn't bother to warn the people at all. Or again, the only way out of this that I can see is for Muslims to just say, but it wasn't in their language, so it wasn't clear enough, which only supports our case, that the position of the Quran is that it was sent in the language of a particular people for a particular purpose, and that what Muslim apologists today say completely contradicts the purpose of the Quran and destroys all their dawah. Surah 34, verses 43 to 44.
43.
All right, so let's go ahead and read the clear Quran. When our clear revelation, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, these are clear revelations. It's the clear Quran. The Quran is clearly stating why it was revealed. When our clear revelations are recited to them, they say, this is only a man who wishes to hinder you from what your forefathers used to worship. They also say, this Quran is no more than a fabricated lie. And the disbelievers say of the truth, when it has come to them, this is nothing but pure magic. Now go to the next verse. They say so even though we had never given them any scriptures to study, nor did we ever send them a warner before you, O prophet. The Arabs had never had any scripture that they could study. So in their language, they had never had a warner besides Abraham and Ishmael. Notice this you can only reconcile this by saying that what we read about the prophet coming in their own language. And notice this isn't someone who knows the language. This isn't someone, it has to be your native language, right? It has to be. You have to be a native Arabic speaker. That's the only way to make sense of this and to reconcile these things. Anything you wanted to add before?
There is a hadith that I thought about, which kind of hints at this. This one. Can you read this? I don't know. I just remembered this. According to this hadith, Muhammad says to his people, "We are an illiterate nation, or an illiterate people. We neither write nor know accounts. The month is like this and this." So what he's referring to is that his people, his I believe he's even using the word ummi here, which means that his people are ignorant, unknowledgeable people, which is why Muslims also constantly refer to the pre-Islamic Arabs as the ignorant people, or the times of ignorance. So these narrations, these narratives, just again reiterate and again clarify that Muhammad was sent to a people who are completely unaware of what is going on in the world, and he was sent for them. And we will get closer to that again. Do you want to go on with a different verse, or?
Yeah, let's just read Surah. Go to Surah 32.
32.
This is good. This is just this is kind of overkill, because overkill is underrated.
Okay.
Yeah, just go down to verse 3.
3.
And this is only saying the same thing that we've seen in multiple verses. We just want to understand how clear the Quran is on this point, right? So verse 3 here. Or do they say he has fabricated it? Talking about if they say that Muhammad has fabricated the Quran, which is what I would say. Or do they say he has fabricated it? No, it is the truth from your Lord, in order for you, Muhammad, to warn a people to whom no warner has come before you, so they may be rightly guided.
So they may be rightly guided. A people that have not received any warner before, so they may be guided.
And
what does that sound like?
Yeah. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, according to the Quran, Abraham and Ishmael had already come to these people and set up their worship. What is the only way to make sense of this? That the warner has to be a native Arabic speaker. And that's why Muhammad was, that Abraham and Ishmael didn't even qualify. They didn't even qualify as having warned the Arabs. The Arabs have to be warned in their own language. It's the only thing that qualifies. Got that so far?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to bring up something. I want to just throw in something that I find very funny and very beautiful. That has not so much to do with the language of the Quran, but rather with the authorship of the Quran. I just thought about that, and I have to throw this in here because I find it so nice. So here's a Quran verse which says, wait.
This is funny.
So here's a Quran verse which says, and we certainly know that they say it is only a human being who teaches him. The tongue of the one they refer to is foreign, and this recitation is in a clear Arabic language.
Yeah.
What this Quran verse is actually saying, so it is saying that they say, so the people around Muhammad who doubt Muhammad's message and who doubt all these recitations and their divine origin, they apparently say it is only a human being who teaches him. So there is somebody there among them who teaches Muhammad these things, which is why he is making up these revelations, because he gets these from some guy who is among these people. Yeah. And then the Quran later clarifies, but the language of that guy that you are referring to is foreign, and this Quran is in clear Arabic language, so it can't be that he's taking it from that guy. But it's funny that the Quran is actually,
it's hilarious. One of us should make a video called like Allah's dumbest responses to arguments, right? Because he has things like this, right? Like, and they ask, why isn't Muhammad sent with a miracle? And Allah's response is, because other people from other generations had rejected miracles, therefore you don't get any. It's like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. But this is another one that just doesn't make sense, right? It's like, the accusation is that Muhammad is getting these revelations. There you got it. There you have it, AP.
Uh-huh.
The accusation is that Muhammad is getting these revelations from this guy that he's talking to. In the Muslim sources, they even know who that's referring to, right?
Yeah.
And so, in other words,
traitor apparently.
And this is apparently the reason that Muhammad was called the ear, or that people would say he's all ears and believes whatever anyone tells him, is that this guy's telling him, hey, let me tell you about Jesus. Hey, let me tell you about Moses. Hey, let me tell you about this. Let me tell you about that. Let me tell you about Dhul Qarnayn. And Muhammad's listening to this dude, and he's coming out the next day day and saying, I have received the revelation from the Almighty. Praise Allah. Right? And so he would come out there, and the people are noticing this going, wait a minute, you keep talking to this dude who has all these stories, and then the next day you come out and you've got this story that you received from Allah, right?
Yeah.
And they point this out, but then Allah gives a response and says, no. That man is not a native Arabic speaker, whereas the Quran is in Arabic. So there's no way that Muhammad could be getting these stories from this other man. Now, you Muslims are watching. Do you really not understand how stupid and insane this is? If I write a book right now, I say, look, ladies and gentlemen, I wrote a book. It's called Crime and Punishment. It's about this guy. His name's Raskolnikov, and he murders some people and to take their money. And then, he eventually goes to jail after he confesses and stuff. And man, it's a real page turner that I just wrote. And you say, wait a minute. You're not the one who wrote that. Dostoevsky wrote that. And my response is, what are you talking about? Dostoevsky wrote in Russian, and this book's in English. So there's no way I got the story from him. There is no person on this planet stupid enough to fall for that. There is, out of the 7 billion plus people on this planet, 7 billion plus would see right through that and think that is the most idiotic response anyone has ever uttered. And yet we go to the Quran, and when Muhammad is accused of plagiarizing stories from this dude that he keeps getting stories from, Allah's response is, no, that's impossible. This is in Arabic, whereas that guy's not a native Arabic speaker. It's impossible.
I think you have to visualize how these revelations, how these Quran verses come into existence. These revelations come into existence by Muhammad simply sitting there or standing there and having an episode or something and just starting to sing these or to speak these Quran verses in a very strange way. And people around him then notice, this is a revelation from Allah. So what is happening is that Muhammad keeps talking to this guy. He keeps talking to this guy, comes out and gives revelations from Allah. After he talks to that guy, he gives out revelations that rhyme in a strange way. And people then come and say, dude, it looks like you're just getting these stories from that guy over there because you keep talking to him and then you come in here and you start rhyming. What is that about? It looks like you are just getting this stuff from him. So and then what Muhammad does is he goes back and then he goes, I'm receiving a revelation. I'm receiving a revelation right now. Hold on, guys, quiet.
Alhamdulillah!
Guys, please, quiet. I'm receiving a revelation. They say that he only receives this from a human being, but the person they refer to, he speaks a different language, but this is in pure Arabic. Subhanallah. And that solves the problem. This is how Allah quickly intervened and saved Muhammad from embarrassment. Fantastic.
And Allah responded from all eternity. So keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, Allah knew from all eternity that Muhammad would be accused of plagiarizing from this guy that he keeps talking to.
Yeah.
And Allah had all eternity to figure out how he's going to answer this accusation. And he could have just had the guy never meet Muhammad so that he could never, the accusation would never come up. Instead, Allah comes up with his response, which is translation from one language to another is impossible in all circumstances.
That's so dumb. Why does the Quran even deal with this stuff? I mean, why does the Quran even spend time responding to these things in such a pretty way?
Allah would have been better off just keeping quiet about this, right? Just ignore the accusation. Because every time he responds to an accusation, it's the stupidest response I've ever heard. Like any 5-year-old would be able to see through this immediately.
This verse here is causing doubts in people's minds. Additionally, it sounds very stupid. It is embarrassing. It is laughable. And Muslims sit there trying to save the Quran from embarrassment. What is the point of doing this? Is this really the almighty, brilliant Allah, the giant mind of the creator? I mean, I'm not as stupid as to do something like this. What the hell is this?
Keep in mind, no one is, right? Like, this is what you Muslims are telling you. This is what you're telling me about God. Right? This is why this stuff actually ticks me off. You're talking about God here, and you're telling me that the creator of the universe is trying to answer an objection, and he gives a response that is so stupid, that is so insanely stupid, that no one except for Muhammad's immediate followers would believe it for 1 second, because, well, you have to believe it or you get your head chopped off, right? Yeah. Like, you have to be literally threatened with your head being chopped off in order not to see through this immediately. That's how bad Allah's responses are. All right, let's go. Surah 42, verse 7.
Surah 42.
The revelation's coming. The revelations. Surah 42, verse 7. All right. Yeah. And so Allah has declared, and so we have revealed to you a Quran.
Me that this is the verse that we're talking about. Go ahead.
Well, and right after this, we'll go to the one on Mecca, right?
Okay.
And so we have revealed to you a Quran in Arabic. Oh, wait, this is the one. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is
the mother of cities, yeah. I think there's another one. I have a list of. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we'll go to it now. Okay. 42:7. And so we have revealed to you a Quran in Arabic. Why? Why is the Quran in Arabic? You could put it, ladies and gentlemen, you could put it all together even before we went to this verse. You could put it all together. Allah sends a revelation to people in their own language, and the only thing that even qualifies as a revelation to those people is something in their own language, so that even Abraham himself would not qualify as a warner if it's in a language that he is not the native speaker of. And therefore, the only person to qualify as a warner in Arabic was Muhammad. Every other people group had the revelation in their language. The Arabs were the last people to receive a messenger, a scripture, a prophet in their language. And so why, if the Arabs are the last people without a revelation, why does he send the Quran? Why does Allah send the Quran? He explains. And so we have revealed to you a Quran in Arabic, talking to Muhammad here, so you may warn the mother of cities and everyone around it, and warn of the day of gathering, about which there is no doubt, when a group will be in paradise and another in the blaze. AP, what is the mother of cities that Muhammad was sent specifically to warn? He's sent specifically to the people of this city and the people around it.
Well, obviously it must be referring to every city around the world.
Every city is the mother of cities.
No, the mother of cities is clearly within context known as Mecca, where Muhammad was supposedly sent to. So the Quran verse is clearly saying, we have revealed to you a Quran in Arabic with the Prophet Muhammad, so that you, Prophet, may warn the mother of cities, that you may warn Mecca and everyone around it, surrounding Mecca, about the day of judgment, about which there is no doubt, so that they can finally get their revelation in Arabic in Mecca and around. This verse makes it so clear. I mean, look at it again. We have revealed to you a Quran in Arabic, so you may warn the mother of cities and everyone around it.
In other words, the people who speak Arabic.
Yeah.
We revealed it in Arabic so that you may warn the people who speak Arabic.
Yeah.
Why? Because keep in mind, in Islam, there's no such thing as translation, apparently. Yeah. And you can't be held responsible if you don't have a revelation in your own language. That's according to the Quran, right? I only by the way, I only have one more passage, and then we could go to anything else you wanted to bring up.
So David, was the Quran revealed to warn somebody named George, who is currently living in New York? Or
no, only in the sense that everyone is supposed to acknowledge all of the messengers, right? In other words, Muslims are supposed to acknowledge the Jewish prophets and so on, but you're not supposed to go to their revelations for guidance because you have the book that's in your own language. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, in Surah 5, verse 43 of the Quran, when the Jews come to Muhammad to settle their dispute, Allah responds, why do they come to you, Muhammad, when they have the Torah? They're not supposed to go to you. You're the guy for the Arabs. Those are the Jews. They have the Torah that's in Hebrew. What's wrong with you? Right?
Look at it. It says here, but how is it that they come to you for judgment while they have the Torah, in which is the judgment of Allah? Then they turn away after that. Why do they come to you, to Muhammad, for his revelations when they already have the Torah? They should just stick with the Torah. Why do they come to you? This is what the Quran says.
Let's look at a couple more verses in this chapter real quick. Go down to verse 47.
Yeah.
So let the people of the gospel judge by what Allah has revealed in it, right? What are the people of the gospel? So the Jews are supposed to judge by the Torah. Christians are supposed to judge by the gospel, right? Why? It's in a language they understand, unlike the Quran, which is in some other language. Go down to verse 68.
68. Yeah.
Say, O prophet. So this is what Muhammad's commanded to say. Say, O prophet, O people of the book, you have nothing to stand on unless you observe the Torah, the gospel, and what has been revealed to you from your Lord. What has been revealed to the Jews and the Christians? The Torah and the gospel. You could add in the Psalms and some things like that, but what is not the revelation that's given to you in your language? The Quran is not given to you in your language. Yeah. Do you see that the Quran is saying as clearly as it says? And in other words, Muslims, if you tell me that when Allah is saying all of these things, he's actually saying everyone needs to ignore everything else, the other prophets, the other scriptures, and just mindlessly believe the Quran, even if it's in a language that you don't understand. You just have to accept people's word for it. You just have to listen to what Muslim apologists are saying, or you have to spend the next 10 years of your life studying Arabic. Those are the options. If you say that that's what Allah is saying in these passages, then you're telling me that Allah is the absolute worst communicator who's ever existed. And we can't believe anything he says because we never know what he means. Because apparently, according to Muslim apologists, Allah means the exact opposite of what he says over and over and over again. He can say over and over and over again, prophet to every nation, revelations in different languages, and you're only responsible for the revelation in your language. And therefore, Jews have to judge by the revelation in their language. Christians have to judge by the revelation in their language. Muslims judge by the revelation in their language. Everyone's got the revelation in their own language. That's what you're called to judge. If Allah can say that over and over and over again, like a beating drum, and then the Muslim apologist comes up and says, what Allah really means is there are no other scriptures that are reliable anymore, and everyone has to just judge by the Quran, take our word for it. Great. You've just told me that this is completely incoherent. This is complete incoherent nonsense. All right. I only had one more passage that I wanted to go to.
Yeah. Let's get to that.
Surah 6, my friend. Surah 6.
Surah 6.
And we've talked about this multiple times, but we're actually going to read it. Surah 6, and this is of course a long chapter. Oh, you're asking me for the verse now?
Yeah.
155 to 157.
155 to 157. All right.
This is a blessed book we have revealed.
Well, it doesn't even say that. That's the clear Quran adds words here to the translation, which is strange. But go ahead.
This is a blessed book we have revealed. So follow it and be mindful of Allah, so you may be shown mercy. Next verse. You pagans can no longer say, you pagans can no longer say, scriptures were only revealed to two groups before us, and we were unaware of their teachings. Right? Notice what it's saying right here, because because Muhammad had to. Who were the pagans? Who were the polytheists of Arabia familiar with as far as monotheists receiving revelations? They're familiar with the Jews and the Christians. So Muhammad comes along and they're saying, my goodness, man, you know, the Jews and the Christians, they have their revelations in their languages. So they didn't know that everyone had the revelation in their own language. They didn't know this. Muhammad had to inform them of this. But now they're getting a revelation in their language. So you pagans can no longer say, and it doesn't actually say pagans there, but it's clear that's who he's talking to, right? We revealed it lest you, and he's talking to pagans. So you pagans can no longer say, scriptures were only revealed to two groups before us, and we were unaware of their teachings. Next verse. Nor can you say, if only the scriptures had been revealed to us, we would have been better guided than they. Now there has come to you from your Lord a clear proof, a guide, and a mercy. Who then does more wrong than those who deny Allah's revelations and turn away from them? We will reward those who turn away from our revelations with a dreadful punishment for turning away. Notice, now this doesn't say Judgment Day, but it's talking about an excuse you would have before Allah, right? Wait a minute. These other people had their revelations. If we had the revelation in our language, we'd be better guided than they. Allah seems to be concerned about this objection, because notice, you could stand before Allah on Judgment Day and say, hey, Allah, you're holding me responsible for not being a Muslim. What revelation did I have in my language? And imagine the responses, but wait a minute, I sent Jews and Christians to Arabia. The Jews and the Christians had the revelations from Allah. They had the Torah and the gospel. Allah is concerned about blocking this response. Wait a minute. Yeah, you gave them the revelations, but we didn't have anything in our language. And if we didn't have anything in our language, how do we know who we're supposed to listen to? How do we know if we can trust this revelation? How do we know? What do you expect us to just believe what the Jews and the Christians tell us? How do we know they're telling us the truth? Or do you expect us to go and spend years of our lives learning their languages? You know, we've got other stuff to do in life. So how can you hold us responsible for believing in your scripture when the only way for us to know it there's no way for us to know it. It's not in our language. And Allah, in order to block that response, to block that objection, Allah sends Muhammad to the Arabs so that he can warn the Arabs. He says so that you can warn the people in Mecca and the people around it, the Arabs. I'm sending you Muhammad so that you Arabs have a revelation in your language. That way you will never be able to say on Judgment Day, hey, wait a minute, Allah, this isn't fair. I didn't have something in my language. So you can't expect me to go out and spend years of my life learning this other language. And you can't expect me to mindlessly believe what someone else is saying about their religion. How do I know if I can trust them? Therefore, Allah sends Muhammad to block that objection. And what have Muslims been saying for the past 14 centuries? You all need to believe the Quran written in Arabic, which you don't understand, but just take our word for it, or spend years of your life learning Arabic.
Yeah.
And they don't see the problem.
Yep.
My friends, if you get your mind around this problem, you see, Islam just falls apart. Islam just falls apart. One, there are obvious things, namely, where are all these revelations in all these other languages? Where are they? There should be some record of them. So that's one obvious problem. The other obvious, in other words, if you have 7th century Muhammad in the 7th century, you've got the problem of, wait a minute, according to Islam, all other people had their revelations. Where are they? Where is the Chinese messenger? Where is where are all these people? Where's the Aborigine messenger? Where are all these messengers at? Right. So you have that issue, but then you have the problem after that, namely, new languages form. So every time a new language forms, you don't have the revelation in that language, and everyone who speaks that language will be able to say, really, Allah, you expected us to believe in this book that we can't read for ourselves? Or do you expect me and my kids to just run right out and learn Arabic? We're all going to take Arabic classes for this, to learn this book? Or should we just mindlessly accept what Shabir Ali says? Well, if we're just going to how do we know? Do we believe what Shabir Ali says? Do we believe what Mufti Abu Layth says? Do we believe what various Dawah guys say? Who do we believe? Because they're giving us very different messages about Islam. Who do we believe here? We don't know who to believe because we don't have a revelation that we can actually understand. That's the situation we're in. So what you have here is Islam sends a message about why it's been revealed. It completely contradicts everything that happened before it, and it completely contradicts everything that happened after it. It makes no sense. It's incoherent, and it completely contradicts everything that the Dawah dudes tell us about Islam. And then after all of that, they expect us to take this revelation seriously. I got a problem with it, AP. I can't do it.
It's absolutely true. I want to bring up one quick hadith to further understand why Muhammad was unaware. Are we seeing this on is this on the screen? Yes, it is.
Yep.
Okay. Why Muhammad did not foresee that there will be other people and other languages, and that people will be without messenger and cannot rely on him, because of the following. This is a hadith, an authentic report about the last hour, which is the day of judgment, according to Islam, according to the Islamic, eschatology, the day of judgment prophecies. Here, a person comes to Muhammad, or people come to Muhammad and say, when will the last hour come? Thereupon, Allah's messenger, peace be upon him, kept quiet for a while. Then looked at a young boy in his presence, belonging to the tribe of Az-Shanua, and he said, look, he looks at a young boy in his presence, and he said, if this boy lives, he would not grow very old till the last hour would come to you. Anas said that this young boy was of our age during those days. So, I think it is very clear, but people come to Muhammad and ask him, oh, Muhammad, when will the last hour come? So when will the day of judgment come? When will the world end? When will all of this end? And when will judgment arise? And what Muhammad says is, look, here's a boy. If this young boy will not grow very old, and judgment day will come. This is what Muhammad thought and taught to his people, that during his time, or not long after his time, maybe within a few decades, the world will all end, and he is the final messenger. That's what he thought. This is why Muhammad had no clue that in the future we would require an American prophet who speaks English, which is me, by the way. Yeah.
You could say it. And the English prophet is meant to lead people out of Islam. Let me respond to a quick comment here. Mustafa speaks. I believe he's a young Muslim apologist. But notice that when we get corrected, it's the Muslim who needs correcting. Mustafa speaks, corrects us, completely destroys our argument. It says, nowhere in those verses does it mention anything about a language. If you notice, it's speaking about a nation, hence the Gentiles, the Ishmaelites in particular, not a language. So according to Mustafa speaks, nowhere in those verses does it mention a language. Okay, let's just read Surah 14, verse 4, one more time. Matter of fact, I'll give you as many translations as you want, Mustafa. Let me
put it on the screen. Wait, let me put it on the screen. You said 14?
Yep. No, 4. Yeah, chapter 14, verse 4.
Verse 4, okay.
Okay. So let's see what the Clear Quran and Sahih International say. We have not sent a messenger except in the language of his people to clarify the message for them. All right. So looks like it says language.
For them. Yeah.
Maybe it's a mistranslation, because Mustafa Speaks says the Quran nowhere mentions the language. So let's Sahih International there. And we did not send any messenger except speaking in the what? Language. No, Mustafa Speaks says the word language isn't in this. So in the language of his people, to state clearly for them. Let me read a few more. Pickthall. And we never sent a messenger save with the language of his folk, that he might make the message clear for them. Yusuf Ali. We sent not an apostle except to teach in the language of his own people in order to make things clear for them.
Here's the Arabic too. Like it's direct. It's here on the screen. Lisan, language. It's right here.
The language. With the language.
Yeah.
And we sent Hilali Khan, and we sent not a messenger except with the language of his people in order that he might make the message clear for them. Here's what's amazing. Look, let me shook here. And we did not send any apostle, but with the language of his people, so that he might explain it to them clearly. Over and over again, Allah says this. Now, notice, Mustafa Speaks. This is as clear as anything in the Quran ever is. It doesn't get any clearer than this in the perfectly clear Quran. Allah says, I only send a messenger in the language of the people he's sent to, so that they can understand it in their language. He says that, and you have to deny it and say, he never says that. He never says what he clearly and obviously says. You have to say he never says that. Why? Because on some level, you understand how ridiculous this is. You understand, wait a minute, it makes no sense for Muhammad to be the prophet sent to German speakers and English speakers and French speakers and Italian speakers. It makes no sense for Muhammad to be sent to all of them in these other languages if Allah says that he only sends a messenger to the people in their language. You understand that? And so you had to just like mentally block out what this verse is saying. And yet, guess what? That is what Allah said. It is what Allah said, which means you have to know at this point. You have to know that the Quran is completely incoherent. So, dude, if you're looking,
and look at this verse here. Let's look at this one too. This is very significant. I don't know if this person missed this Quran verse, but we just read this as well, which says, "And thus we have revealed to you an Arabic Quran."
Arabic Quran, language,
Arabic
right?
Quran. We have revealed to you. Thus we have revealed to you an Arabic Quran, that you may warn the mother of cities, Mecca, and those around it. So therefore, we have revealed to you an Arabic Quran in Arabic, so that you may warn Mecca and around and the people around it. People around it and in Mecca who speak Arabic. That is why we have sent it to you in Arabic, so that you may warn those people in there and around. How much more clear could we possibly make it?
Yeah, and yet, ladies and gentlemen, every single Muslim apologist you run into will tell you the Quran is the final book, and everyone now needs to get all of their information about the Almighty and how they're supposed to live from the Arabic Quran, even if they don't understand it and even if they don't speak Arabic. This is just the position that Allah has left you in, even though it's exactly what Allah says he didn't want to do to you. But once again, Allah's message is, guys, under no circumstances do I want you to be in a position where you have to rely on someone else who speaks some other language to tell you what to believe about God. I do not want you to ever be in that situation, or the situation where in order to know what God is telling you, you have to say, okay, I'm just going to go out and spend years of my life learning this other language so that I can understand it, so that then after I've done all these years of research, I can finally understand what God is telling me to do. In order to avoid people being in that situation, Allah sends the Quran revealed to speakers of Arabic so that they have a revelation that they can understand in their language. And what does every Muslim in the world tell you about Islam? The exact opposite. Here's the book for all people who don't speak the language. There's amazing stuff, man. Again, if I didn't know anything else about Islam, so if I didn't know about Muhammad having sex with Aisha, the prepubescent girls, Muhammad taking the wife of his own adopted son, if I didn't know about the sex slaves, if I didn't know about any of this stuff, if I just knew this about Islam, I would say, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous nonsense that he's claiming that he revealed the book in this language, because you can't be expected to trust translations and so on. This is completely ridiculous if he says he's trying to avoid this, and now everyone is expected, everyone except native Arabic speakers. And even then it doesn't work, because native Arabic is not the exact same thing as classical Arabic. So the only people to whom, the vast majority of the world's population, the Quran is never going to be clear to. And and yet Allah says that he's sending this because everyone needs a clear revelation that they can understand. You're basically, so we know that according to what Muslims are telling us, Allah is the worst communicator in the world, and he's completely incompetent when it comes to responding to basic objections. The Quran is one giant catastrophe. Allah is trying to tell people, I'm trying desperately to give you a revelation in your own language, because that's the only way you can know what to do. And yet I've just failed miserably. I've failed completely. I'm a complete failure. I never get anything I want. Everyone corrupts the message. And then the only revelation I've actually preserved somehow says that all the other revelations have been preserved, and tells people to judge by those. And I just can't. Gosh, will some apologists please come and rescue me, because I can't do this on my own. That's the message from Islam. Allah screwed up massively, and now he needs the Shabir Ali's and Adnan Rashids and all these guys of the world to come and rescue. They come clean up this massive, epic dumpster fire of a train wreck that he has created. They have to clean up the mess that he made.
I think we have to clarify why this happened and why it is the case that the Quran so often seems to refer to its message and to Muhammad as a message and a prophet for the Arabs and not for the world. Well, what seemingly happened here is that initially in the beginnings, Muhammad was impressed with the religions of monotheists, with Jews and Christians, and his idea was initially that he was also a prophet like those other prophets, but he didn't really understand how this whole system of prophethood and revelation worked. What he thought of himself was that he was also a prophet like those others, but he was sent for his own people with a revelation in Arabic in order to warn and to save the Arabs who were so far uninformed about the Day of Judgment and about all those things that Christians and Jews know, for example. Which is why over a long period of time, he kept preaching that he came to them to bring them a message in Arabic from Allah, because everyone else got their message already. This is how he went for several years. And while he was doing that, he also, after a while, he tried to communicate with Jews and Christians. And basically, he actually started communicating with Jews and Christians only once he left Mecca for Medina, which happened several years into his prophethood. He then tried to make connections with Jews and Christians and basically said to them, hey guys, I'm also a prophet, just like your prophets. And I came to enlighten my own people, just like you were enlightened by your people. So let's come together and let's all worship Allah. You worship Allah in your way, and we worship Allah with our way. You worship with the Torah, you worship with the gospel, whatever that is. And we worship with the Quran, according to the Quran. This is how he went. But things didn't go his way. While all these revelations were made that Muhammad is for the Arabs, things didn't go very well between Muhammad and the Jews. He saw that they just belittle him. They don't really find him impressive. They make fun of his prophethood and his revelations. He becomes increasingly hostile toward them, takes a stance against them, tries to come closer to Christians, doesn't see very good reception from Christians either. And eventually it turns from, hey, let's all worship Allah in our own way, into, hey, everyone must become a Muslim. Everyone must submit to Islam. This religion will rule over you. I am the final prophet. So it turns from, hey, I'm just to my own people, to everyone must submit to me. And what is very funny is that I have made a list of Quran verses that talk to or about Jews and Christians. They are in the beginning very peaceful, and they indeed emphasize that Jews, Christians, and Muslims have their own religions and they worship in their own way. Toward the end, and the last verses that are about Jews and Christians, the Quran basically says that you must fight the Jews and Christians and violently subjugate all those Jews and Christians who reject Muhammad's message. And something else I have done right here, when we were preparing this topic that we wanted to talk about today, I sat down and decided to make a list of all the verses that mention Arabic, and that the Quran was revealed in Arabic. And here we see the following. Here are all the verses that mention language and Arabic, and how the Quran was sent for the Arabs, for his own people, in their language. All of these verses are, according to what we know, verses that came into existence when Muhammad was still in Mecca and was only surrounded mostly by polytheists. There were no large groups of Christians and Jews around him. After a while, Muhammad had to flee Mecca because people did not accept him anymore with his hostile attitude toward their religion. He had to flee Mecca toward Medina, where he started preaching a more universal approach, and where he started to make connections with Jews and Christians. And there, suddenly, all the verses that are about Arabic and about how he came for the Arabs stopped. This is where it ends. The last verse that mentions how prophets are sent for their own people in Arabic is revealed in Mecca. Then here is a verse that is revealed somewhere between Mecca and Medina, which basically is, I should actually bring this up here. which is actually a verse that says and mentioned when Abraham said, "My Lord, make this a secure city and provide its people with fruits, whoever of them believes in Allah and the last day." And Allah said, "Whoever disbelieves, I will grant him enjoyment for a little, then I will force him to punishment of the fire." So here Abraham actually, in this supposed story, Abraham actually says, "My Lord, make this a secure city and provide its people with fruits, whomever of them believes in Allah and the last day." So Abraham actually prays for the people of Mecca. In context, if we look at this, here Abraham specifically sets up a place of worship, and this place is specifically meant to be a place that is only for the people who are here, for the Arabs. So yeah, this is basically how things proceed. In the beginning, it was all Arabic. In the beginning, it was all for Arabs. Eventually, it didn't really go that way. Later on, it turned for a religion for all people. And later on, it turned into a religion that everyone must submit to. Otherwise, you will be enslaved or killed or all the other good stuff. Yeah.
I can't resist.
Go ahead.
Because, you know, especially the young guys like Mustafa Speaks really do want to help them. Now, let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and read his response here. Quran was revealed in Arabic, in the language of the messenger, to spread throughout the whole world. Quran 21:107. All provisions messengers were sent to particular nations. Right? So he says all I think he meant previous. All previous messengers were sent to particular nations. And then as justification, it's Quran 21, verse 107. So 21:107, it's actually a reference that's good to learn. This is the one that says where Allah says, "We sent thee not except as a mercy for the peoples." Right? So keep in mind, because it says the peoples, well, therefore, it's the peoples.
So dumb.
So the worlds, to all peoples, some translations go. So let's go ahead and grant that it means all peoples, all creatures, right? Okay. Now think about how ridiculous it is. Well, a couple problems here. One, best case scenario. The verse we read, Surah 14, verse 4. There's no exception there. So we didn't send any prophet except in the language of his people, right? So Mustafa wants to say, yes, but it says that Muhammad was sent as a mercy to all mankind, and therefore everyone has to then learn his language, and they have to be in the position that the Quran explicitly over and over again says it's trying to avoid. What's the problem here? Well, just obviously. Pull up Surah 21. Matter of fact, let's read this. Yeah, let's go ahead and read what you just pulled up. Since you pulled up, we have not sent a messenger except in the language of his people to clarify the message for them. Mustafa, what's the message in the language of our people, so Americans? What's the message in the language of South Americans? What's the message in their language? The Quran, really? The Quran in Arabic? That's the message. Allah says He only sends a messenger in the language of that people. But you've, as usual, completely contradicted your God. Go to Surah 21.
Wait, I can't resist. This is the message for Americans in their own language.
Yeah. There you go.
Stay away from Islam.
You're the English-speaking prophet.
Yeah. Stay away from Islam. This is the message which Allah sent for the English-speaking people of our time. Just so you know.
All right. So
what chapter? What verse?
Go to Surah 21. That's the passage he referred to. And we're going to go to two verses here.
21. What did you say? Sorry.
Surah 21. Yeah.
Okay.
So go down to 107. Surah 107.
107.
Yeah, you got to go way down there.
Yeah, you have to tell me that. Okay.
We'll see what the clear Quran says here. We have sent you, O Prophet, only as a mercy for the whole world. Sahih International. And we have not sent you, O Muhammad, except as a mercy to the world. So according to Mustafa's interpretation here, because it says to the worlds, or to, it basically says for the Alameen, which this like even the Halali Khan, it says for mankind, jinns, and all that exists. All right. So because it says that, Even notice all it's saying here is Muhammad's been sent as a mercy to these people. And Mustafa is interpreting this as everyone now has to learn the Quran. And that this means that all previous revelations were only to their specific people, but Muhammad is sent to everyone, and everyone has to now learn Arabic or just believe what Muslim apologists like Mustafa say. All right, AP, go back a little earlier in the chapter.
As a mercy, though, the irony.
Go back a little bit earlier, same chapter, verse 91. This is talking about the revelation of Mary. Uh-oh, what's this, Mustafa? And remember the one who guarded her chastity. So we breathed into her through our angel, Gabriel, making her and her son a sign for all peoples. Oh my goodness, it's a sign for all peoples. Therefore, following your reasoning, for all, and let me go and read the Sahih International, and mentioned the one who guarded her chastity, i.e. Mary. So we blew into her garment, not what it says, through our angel, i.e. Gabriel, and we made her and her son a sign for the worlds. Oh my goodness, it's Alameen again. So wait a minute. According to Mustafa, since Muhammad was a mercy to all the people, all the world, therefore everyone has to learn his language and just believe his revelation. But wait a minute. The Quran also says that Mary and Jesus were given as a miracle for all the people, and therefore, sorry, you just contradicted yourself and your God yet again. This means that Jesus and Mary were not sent to a specific people. And by the way, we didn't get into the other massive problem here. If namely this complete side issue here, Mustafa, but something for you to think about. If Jesus is only sent to his people in their language, why does his book have a Greek title? What Mustafa? What's the Jesus book, the book of Jesus, called in Arabic? It's called Injil, right? That's a transliteration. If you don't know what a transliteration is, just look at the English word Quran, Quran. Well, that's a completely different language, and it's different letters than Arabic letters, right? It's a transliteration because they try to make a similar word in a different language to refer to this other book, right? So we say Quran, we spell it Quran, even though you don't have the same alphabet and so on in Arabic. Well, guess what? People have been doing this for a long time, right? The word Injil is a transliteration of the Greek word euangelion. There is no corresponding Hebrew word that the Quran is transliterating here. It's a transliteration of a Greek word. So the name of the book that Jesus brought had a Greek name. Why, in the name of common sense, would a guy who spoke Hebrew and Aramaic have this book that's in Greek? Mustafa, I don't know how to make this any clearer to you. Notice every objection you raise. I only looked at two of your objections. They were both completely factually false according to your own book. If the only way for you to defend your prophet and your book is to completely make things up that completely contradict everything your book and your prophet say, how is this not telling you something about your religion, man? And it's a good thing you're learning this when you're young. You don't want to spend 50 years of your life following Islam only to realize these problems. You want to learn this. You want to learn this now when you're young so you can get out of this. Right? It's just a fact, Mustafa. Your God says, he explains why he sent the Quran. It's for Arabic speakers. Is Muhammad a mercy to all mankind according to the Quran? Yes. Is everyone supposed to believe in him? Yes. Should everyone learn about him? Yes. What revelation are they called upon to follow according to the Quran? They're called upon to follow the revelation in their language. Allah can't get any more clear than Surah 5, verse 43. Muhammad, why are they coming to you when they have the Torah? It's like Allah is saying, why are you guys so stupid? You have a revelation in your own language. You don't need Muhammad. You don't need this guy. He doesn't speak your language. Why are you going to him? Mustafa, that makes no sense unless what we're saying is true here. And that Allah has this view. And notice, because this is the case clincher here, Mustafa. This is the point you're supposed to derive from all of this. The takeaway message of all of this is the author of the Quran is really convinced that all these different groups all over the world have revelation in their language, and a book that they're supposed to follow because a prophet came to them in their language. And every person is supposed to believe in all the other prophets, even though the revelation that you're called to judge by is what was revealed in your language. That's what you're commanded. The author of the Quran is fully convinced that everyone in the world has their Quran, that is reliable scripture from God, and that is the scripture they are supposed to judge by. So you got two possibilities. Either your God is the author of the Quran. If your God is the author of the Quran, then your God he's either ignorant or he's deceptive. He either doesn't know what anyone else on the world believes, or he does know and he's just lying about what they believe. So he's either ignorant or deceptive. Or two, God is not the author of the Quran. The Quran actually comes from someone like Muhammad. And I understand why an illiterate 7th century Arabian caravan trader who's called the ear because he believes whatever he says. I understand why Muhammad, who's getting all these stories from all these different people, and he's putting all these stories that he hears in their books. So he thinks, hey, everyone has the same stories all over the world in their language and their religion. Everyone's got the same stories. Everyone's got their prophets. And now I'm the one for the Arabs. If Muhammad is the author of the Quran, I understand Muhammad getting this so horribly wrong. I don't understand God getting it this horribly wrong. So the only takeaway conclusion is this is not from God, dude. You need a new religion.
Yeah. Let's face it. I mean, we talked about it in the last show, but let's reiterate it. According to the Islamic message, according to the Islamic belief, prophets were sent to all nations in the world. Of course, Muhammad did not know how religion works, how the history of Abrahamic religion worked. He did not know why Christians are Christians and why Jews are Jews. He just saw big groups of people who are Christians and a group of people who are Jews, and he thought, well, I guess prophets were sent to all people. I guess there are all kinds of people who follow these religions. But what he did not know is that such a thing did not exist. Such a thing was not believed by Christians or by Jews. Muhammad himself was ignorant and thought that it is a good idea to preach that Allah has sent prophets to all nations around the world. If we accept for a second that Allah did indeed send prophets to all nations all around the world in their own language, then think about this. Really, when you look at the history of humankind, you see that Abrahamic religion was only concentrated to this very little place until the beginning of Christianity, when it started to spread across the world. Thanks to whom? Thanks to Jesus, not thanks to prophets that were sent to people all around the world. So that means that no prophet in the world was successful except those prophets that were specifically in Israel, in the Middle East, in that specific tiny region. That means Allah has sent prophets over time to all people around the world in their own language, but all those prophets have all failed to deliver their messages. They have all failed to deliver their message of submission, to deliver their texts or their scriptures or whatever it is. They have all failed, but only those tiny little people have succeeded. Is that really something that you want to believe in? Do you really want to believe that Allah, for some strange reason, it was part of his plan that he sent a bunch of, like, hundreds of prophets, thousands of prophets to humans all around the world, but all those prophets have all failed. They were all giant failures. None of them delivered their messages. None of them were believable. People did not believe them. People just threw them away, which is why people just existed for nothing for thousands of years like that. It was all Allah's mistake. Do you really want to believe that? That is so dumb.
It's pretty bad. And Mustafa, I just encourage you because notice you have a certain zeal, right? You're out there, you're trying. You're you could be doing anything right now, but you're looking into religious matters and so on, and trying to defend your prophet. So you're trying to do what's right. You're trying to spend your time doing what's right. You just, dude, you're following the wrong guy here. This is not the guy you want to spend your zeal on.
Yeah.
Right. So got to get out of this, man.
Okay. Let's wrap it up. You told me that you wanted to keep this at under an hour, and now you are talking. So
yeah, but Mustafa came along. We always take time to help out the young Muslims.
Along came Mustafa, and yeah. Okay, I want to quickly look at the super chat.
Oh my goodness!
No, I will keep it. I will keep it.
I want to spend the next hour and 45 minutes going through super chats.
Man, what the this system is so dumb. I can't even access the super chats now. It says no new super chats or match. I don't know. What am I supposed to do? I think there's another place where I can access those super chats. Maybe you can say a few. No, don't say a few words. You will start ranting. It will never stop now.
And another thing, Mustafa.
Stop it. Stop it. I think I can access them somewhere else. I think I got them. Here they are. Yes, I got them. All right. Let's look at the super chats. I can't put them on the screen. I'm sorry, because YouTube is kind of dumb. But AL made a super chat and said, "Hello, AP and David Wood. Who actually wrote the Quran? Do we have names of these people?" We have a certain hadith in which certain people are listed who were apparently scribes. And we have a hadith which reports about some people who took care of compiling it, but we don't have any solid, proper reports on all the oral tradition, the written tradition. There were so many people who apparently, supposedly, according to the hadith, who listened to the Quran and memorized it, or who wrote it down into different notes. According to the hadith, they spent a very, very long time gathering all the oral notes and all the written notes. So it's a giant mess. We don't actually have any reliable source on that.
Yeah. I just want to add a couple of the people who were Muhammad's scribes actually apostatized.
Oh yeah.
They left Islam when they realized it was false.
That is right. But according to Islamic methodology, you are not supposed to accept an apostate's account of things as authentic or as valid, because they will, of course, lie about Islam and about the Quran in order to make it look bad. So that doesn't count. Only the good stuff counts. Cliff Russo made a super chat and said, there are oral traditions from many Native American tribes that disprove Islam. He also made a super chat and said, example 1, the Lakota, my tribe, tells a story about how the sun dance was given to honor a man who was killed and hung on a dead tree. Robert made a super chat and said, what shape is the earth? It's clearly flat. Just kidding. Please, YouTube, don't ban me. It's question. Arab Christian Prince said, Dr. David and AP, the most important thing and at the heart of the matter is what proves that Islam is an Abrahamic religion, and what is the evidence for its relationship to Abraham.
Muhammad said so.
Yeah, Muhammad said so.
Muhammad, the least reliable source of information ever in the history of humanity, said it.
How can you possibly say that Muhammad was an unreliable person when the Quran clearly says that he was a reliable person?
Yeah, the guy who delivered the Quran to his followers said he's reliable.
Who are you to dispute that? Fumples made a super chat and said, God bless AP. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Cliff Russo made another super chat. I think Cliff Russo just told the whole story of Native Americans here. Said, the Cherokee amazingly has a story about the death of the great holy man, and the sky went dark in the middle of the day. Interesting stuff. I always wanted to read more about this, but yeah. Nice. Just another one like you said, Jay Dyer destroyed Sheikh Asrar Rashid in their Trinity versus Tawheed debate. Who is Asrar Rashid? Is there someone called Asrar Rashid?
No, I know a couple Rashids, but not Asrar.
I have no idea. Cliff Russo again said, this story actually confirms what happened according to the Bible and also what Chinese astronomers saw as well. I think I put those on the screen as he was making them. Some tribes talk about how the holy man would choose 12 followers to assist him in his teachings. Sounds interesting. Fumples made a super chat and said, David has lost weight. Good work. Yeah. Cliff Russell said, sorry for spamming. I thought you guys might find those stories interesting. Enjoyed the topic. It is very interesting. Cliff Russell, I believe. I want to look into that stuff more. Tim Sakata made a super chat and didn't say anything. Made another super chat and didn't say anything. Thank you.
Pretty rude.
Pretty rude. Zahra Jawad Sajwani made a super chat and did not say anything. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. James SC, I remember James SC. James SC is a regular, I believe, yeah. Made a super chat and said, the website IslamicVirtues.com has some hilarious collections of hadith and scholars preaching Arab supremacy from Islam. It's actually part of Hanbali creed, according to the Middle Hanbali scholars. And made another super chat and said that should be islamicvirtues.com, not Islamic virtues. Okay, correction. Nice. I guess that is all the super chats that we have. Wait, there are two more. Karen Fisher said Jesus is Lord. Yeah, that is. I mean, that is.
Glad you agree, AP. Glad you said yeah.
I mean, that is your opinion.
Too late. You're a Christian. You're a Christian now.
You know, that's just your opinion. You know,
Bible says, hey, if you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord, you. Darn it! It also says you have to believe that God raised him from the dead. All right, go ahead.
Do you know how the Islamic Shahada goes again?
I was about to say that's messed up. Hey, what one thing that was funny? We were in the car and vocab. The car was very mixed. It was a minivan and multiple races present. And vocab goes, "Hey, does anyone know what NWA stands for?" That's the rap group. And Anthony blurts it out. But, those of you who know what the N stands for, and then the whole car goes, "Oh, what?" So that reminded me of what you just tried to. David, go ahead and say it. Say the Shahada. By the way, I get messages from people saying, "Hey, I was in a mosque and they were explaining, how things work and stuff like that, and they told me to say these words, and I said them, and then they told me now I've recited the Shahada, I'm a Muslim, but I don't believe in this. What am I supposed to do?" And so there's apparently this pattern of tricking people into saying the Shahada and then telling them, "Nope, according to Islam, you're a Muslim, so you got to live it now."
That's actually funny. I would like to quickly become a Muslim here. Do I remember it correctly? Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Yeah, I testify that there is no God.
You got the longer version.
Yeah. Oh, really? I don't know. Wow, I misremembered. That's strange. But yeah, I said it. So I'm now officially a Muslim, I guess. But that will not change anything. I will just keep doing what I'm doing and keep living how I'm living. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I tell dudes. I was like, look, if someone insists that you converted to Islam because they tricked you into saying these words, then fine, just tell them you're an apostate now. And I thought no one leaves Islam.
Yeah, it ends with Muhammadan Rasulullah, right? It doesn't go after that.
Muhammadan Rasulullah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Zahra Jawad Sajwani made another super chat and said, thanks. Thank you, I appreciate it so much. And Ayal said, to David Wood, AP made a prediction that Islam would be dead in 200 years. Do you agree?
I mean, it depends on what you mean by dead. Like, could there still be a Muslim somewhere in some corner? Yeah.
No, yeah, that's a misrepresentation.
Yeah. Is it going to collapse? Oh, I think it's going to collapse in our lifetimes.
Yeah. Oh, in our lifetimes.
You're a
bigger prophet than I am.
We are going. If we don't get slaughtered, by jihadis, we're going to see Islam crumble. And I said that as soon as the internet became a thing.
That's nice. That's fantastic. I'm a prophet, and I say that Islam will decline and pretty much die out as a religion within the next 200 years. And the collapse of it will be very, very quick because of how restrictive and authoritarian it is. It happens to go that way. And finally, AL said, true or false? GOAT ate the Quran. If it's true, hail Goat Akbar. Yes, it's true. It's true. Goat ate the Quran. That's true. Which goat? It depends on.
Or depending on the source, it could have been a sheep. Some say sheep. Yeah. Some say goat. What they agree is that some barnyard animal ate portions of the Quran that are no longer in the Quran because Aisha had the only copy, and a barnyard animal thought that the Quran was lunch. And yet, when me and AP eat the Quran, we're bad. We're bad.
I did not even eat it. You know what the thing is? I didn't even eat it. Every day I see a comment by Muslims saying, "Oh, AP is a shameless person. He ate the Quran." I did not even eat the Quran.
Yeah,
I did not even do it.
False accusations, guys. He would never do anything that disrespectful.
I would never do something like that.
Never do something like that.
I would never do that.
Stop with the false accusations, guys.
I would never
bearing false witness.
Here, I ripped it up. This is another one. I ripped it up. What else did I do? I kicked it around. I stepped on it. I laughed at it. Muhammad Hijab said I cannot laugh at the Quran. So I laughed at it. I threw it around, but I never ate it. Why would I do something like that?
You never would.
Eating
Never
the Quran
would.
is very disrespectful.
Who would do that? Come on.
No. People like that. No, that's awful. Okay, before we go, one final thing, which is that David told me in private. He didn't want me to tell you this all publicly, but he told me in private that he's scared of publishing his response to the morality debate. He said, "Please don't tell this to anybody, but I'm very scared. I don't know how to respond to you. You totally destroyed me and humiliated me and finished me." That's what he said. I just wanted to publicly acknowledge this.
It is pretty embarrassing that I am now this horrible at ever making videos. I used to. I mean, you're talking 7 months ago. I was posting a video every single day, and now it takes me weeks to make one.
Yeah.
I don't even know because I mean, I could record a video tomorrow. When tomorrow gets here, I just keep going, no, I've got all this other stuff I'm going to do today. I'm going to do that tomorrow.
Scared.
The priorities just shifted from video first and then everything else to now like 8 other things and make video and never get to the other thing. But yeah, we got to do it. Otherwise, I mean, come on. We could have had the entire debate posted by now and moved on to another on to another topic.
Yeah.
That's my fault. That's my fault.
Yeah, it is.
It's pretty bad. It's embarrassing for someone who spent years making hundreds and hundreds of videos.
Yeah.
Not being able to sit down and make one is pretty horrible.
Yeah, I have to admit it is David's fault. Yeah. Okay.
It is. that part's not a joke. Bad.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you again, hopefully next week if we can, if we do. Here's one final one before you leave. Al said, last question for both AP and David Wood. What are your top 3 favorite songs? Oh, what? They came out of nowhere. I don't do lists. I can't do lists. And I don't know.
You probably like some Katy Perry song. Who's the German Katy Perry?
No, I don't.
Yeah, me. It kind of changes from time to time. As of right now, probably "Comfortably Numb" by Pink Floyd would be number 1.
Wow.
Probably number 2 would be the combination of "Brain Damaged" and "Eclipse" by Pink Floyd. Those go together. In case you didn't notice, I kind of like the band Pink Floyd when their original lead singer went insane, and a lot of their songs were what it's like going insane that they've witnessed. And I always liked it because they seem to have a pretty good understanding. And then number 3, I'd have to think about it. But I mean, there are a bunch of other. It's usually classic rock songs. Like I like "Hey Jude" by the Beatles. I like "Sultans of Swing" by Dire Straits. And then outside of the classic rock, like Stevie Wonder, I like "Superstitious." So
you're old, right? How old are you again? 55, 60? Or
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't really. I think one song that I like very much by Pink Floyd is "Hey You." That's one of my favorite.
That's a jam.
Yeah.
But if you listen to, I'm not sure you're familiar with "Comfortably Numb," but check that out.
I love it.
And it's mainly like the guitar solo. It's phenomenal. I like songs with awesome guitar solos. Like I mean, Dire Straits. "Sultans of Swing" has an awesome guitar solo. "Freebird" has an awesome guitar solo. That would probably be like top 10 song, but yeah.
You know what the funny thing is, when you ask me what music I listen to, it's like I would listen to the weirdest mix of things. Like I'm looking at my list here, and I have the Beatles at the beginning. Then I have these 80s and these 90s songs. Then I suddenly have this modern pagan folk in German stuff with Odin, and then I have punk rock, and it's just all over the place. I don't know. It's funny.
Yeah. It's weird because there are like these categories of music that I can't stand, and yet there will usually be like one song from that category of music that I actually like.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's good.
All right.
Let's leave it here. Thanks everybody for joining. We will see you again. Have a fantastic day, night, week, whatever it is. And as always,
Recite the Shahada. No.
Yeah. What, David?
Stay away from Islam, please.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Please and thank you.
Please, you are doing us a very great service. Bye. Thank you.